What are you constantly seeking for outside of yourself? Think about it. What is it? Respect? Support? Love? Validation? Safety? Security? Abundance? Attention? Nurturing? Caring? Whatever it is you've been seeking outside of yourself, it is time to go inward and give it to yourself. Therese here. Welcome to this week's Karma Cards. Well, we have some big energy coming up this weekend. First, we have the full moon in Gemini coming up on Saturday, December 18th. And right after that, Venus goes into her retrograde on December 19th. So what does this mean? It means big energy. There's going to be big feeling energy. By the way, there is a spirit circle on Saturday, December 18th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. If you want to join us, here's the link right here. You can sign up, join us for some full moon releasing, as well as psychic Q&A, and it's all at this link right here. So this week's Karma Cards is really focusing on this Venus retrograde. Venus is retrograding in the sign of Capricorn, so not really inside Venus's comfort zone. Capricorn's natural ruler is Saturn, and it's a completely different energy. Venus is a benefic planet, where Saturn is a malefic planet. Venus brings energy of love, abundance, beauty. Saturn is all about structure, almost instead of an expanding energy, it can be a kind of contracting energy. It's about learning the lessons, about personal responsibility. So when these two get together, it's like a blend of that kind of energy where Venus is going to be going inward to look at what she needs to take responsibility for. What has she been seeking outside of herself that it's time for herself to give her? So this directly relates to the message I started this episode of Karma Cards with, because this is the exact journey we're all going to go on. And since it is a journey into the underworld, so Saturn has that kind of connection to the underworld. Even though Saturn isn't the ruler of the underworld, there's definitely a connection there. A lot of the dark cults use Saturn as a symbol, and they focus on that underworld energy. Why is Venus going down there? Because polarity exists, because we don't live in a density that's all love and light. We also have shadow and darkness, which means that we're also carrying that within us. But that doesn't necessarily denote negativity. It doesn't necessarily denote darkness. However, we have some stuff that is non-activated. Any aspect of ourself that isn't activated is hanging out in our shadow, as well as the aspects of ourselves that we openly reject. So there's a couple of things to get down there in the shadow. And because Venus conjoined with Pluto during this, okay, so Venus is in Capricorn, Pluto's in Capricorn. Pluto is the ruler of the underworld. So this is about Venus descending into the underworld. And that's sort of the journey that we're going on as well. Venus, is the planet that connects us to our relationships. And so what we're being asked to look at here is, what am I trying to get out of other people that I feel like I don't have? And the point of the descent is to go down into the shadow and find what you've been trying to get from others. I was talking with someone about this today, and you'll notice that the things you feel you need from someone else, even if you get them, if you're really honest about it, it never quite satisfies you. What you get from someone else isn't quite hitting the spot. And I likened it to sort of getting an amuse-bouche, right? So an amuse-bouche is a little starter you can get at the beginning of a fancy meal. And it sort of signifies the flavors that are coming, but it's not going to fulfill you. So it's like it tastes really good in the moment. It's got a little bit of satisfaction, but it doesn't satiate you. And that's what it feels like when we try to get these big needs met from other people. No matter what they give us, there's always a little something missing. And the reason is because that deep need of something being satisfied actually comes in from us doing that work of understanding our own needs and then practicing fulfilling them, so that when we get something from someone else, it's sort of the topper. It sort of reinforces what we're getting from ourselves rather than being the whole thing from someone else. And you'll notice if you've ever been in a relationship with someone who doesn't give to themselves, and I feel like that's a lot of us, that we have trouble giving to ourselves, that you'll notice that those who are really not giving to themselves, it's, they can become almost an emotional vampire in their need to constantly suck it out of you, constantly validate me, constantly give me this thing that I need. And it gets to be a drain on you. And then if you're not doing that work of meeting your own needs, well, that's where the, red flags start happening and the, alarm bells start going off of beedoo, we got to fix this. This is where a lot of relationships can break down, because then we've got two people who on some level feel empty, trying to feed off one another. We have codependency. Basically, that's what I'm talking about. So during this time, when Venus takes this descent into the shadow self, what she's looking for is to get really honest about what I'm trying to get from my relationships. What is it that I constantly feel like I need and I'm not getting from other people? Because remember, even if you do get it, you still feel unsatisfied. And that creates that desire, well, I need more. Well, you gave me some attention, but that wasn't enough attention, so I need more, right? So it's a vicious circle of never feeling fed in some way. So those of us who are awake and aware, paying attention to what the divine timing is telling us, that, hey, it's time to take this underworld journey, we're going to be asked to go deeper inside ourselves and look at, what am I not giving to myself here? If I'm constantly seeking validation, for example, from other people for what I do, am I, if I'm 100% honest with myself, validating myself? Probably not. I'm probably either just not giving it to myself or discrediting my own validation and telling myself, well, that's not enough. So then there's the work, right? So it's time for us to go inward and look at, what is it I'm constantly trying to get that I never feel I get, whether it's respect or love or attention. You gotta have to feel into it. And a great way to figure it out is, where are you constantly frustrated when it comes to relationships? Could be love, could be family, could be friendship. You could find it in all of them, but there's going to be some themes that as you look at things, it's like you got to look at the relationship. On the surface, you might be like, well, this is a great relationship, and it is. And then when we've had tiffs or when we have clashed horns, this is the reason why. I didn't feel blank. That's going to be what you need to go within and find for yourself and start actively giving it. So what will happen during this period, if you are actively participating in the energy, because remember, I think I said this a couple karma cards ago, that when Pluto is activated, it's going to happen. I mean, this journey isn't by, it's not a volunteer journey, like, oh, maybe I go and look at this. No, with Pluto connected to it, it is like you either go and go along with it, or you get pulled down. So it's a choice of walking down the stairs of the underworld on your own accord, or being dragged down the stairs into the underworld to go see things. Those of us who take the journey consciously and by choice are going to clear some negative attachments that we've been holding on to. We're going to learn to give to ourselves what maybe we've forgotten to. And it's going to take the load off other people, and relationships are going to improve because of it. And those who go down kicking and screaming, or just don't even know what time it is and get drugged down into this, they're going to have issues arise in the relationship, you're really going to feel that conflict. You're really going to feel the hunger pains of not getting your needs met. And so again, it's to be aware of what those needs are and then actively work on, okay, I'm going to start giving that to myself. I'm going to start acknowledging that I don't feel respected in this relationship. Okay, I know now that means I'm not respecting myself in some way. So now I'm going to sit with that and look at where am I not respecting myself? Do I not respect my own boundaries? Do I not give myself enough time to process? Do I overcommit to things? Where am I disrespecting myself? And then we do that work. So, sounds like fun, right? I think that, remember, Pluto is empowering or purging. It's a power purge planet. So I actually think it is a positive. It doesn't always sound like fun. And I know that people can really dig in and resist when it's time to do like the heavier work. But the key here is willingness. Willingness softens everything. Willingness makes this journey much more palatable and easier to assimilate. And then before you know it, the end of January comes and you've done the work and you're out of it and you're better for it. So there's a real opportunity for empowerment here. If we go the other direction, that's when the Pluto purge comes in, and that means we start in this window, people can lose relationships. Relationships can come to an end. Not always a bad thing. Sometimes a good clean out is what we need. It allows us to, reset, if you will, and start over. Just remember that the choice is completely up to you. And remember that, a great analogy for shadow work is to think about mining, right? A miner has to go into a dark cave, go pretty deep in, dig around in some dirt, get just covered in it, but comes out with gold, diamonds, silver, preciousness, right? Comes out with something precious. So that's a great analogy to think of when you're doing shadow work, when you're in the middle of it and you feel just covered in it. And you're just like, this is gross. It's dark. I'm crying constantly. I feel guilt and shame for what I'm not giving to myself. I feel, terrible that I put this on people. Let that wash over you and realize that through doing that work, you're going to come out of it with something so precious, so worthwhile in the end, that you will even look back on that experience and be proud of yourself. Now let's do some karma cards. For those of you who are new to karma cards, let me quickly show you how these work. I have 3 decks here: planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team, what is the message you have for us this week? And I have 2 sets of answers, one in red, which are action related, and a set in blue, which are outcome related. The way that you tune in and play is tune into your intuition and ask yourself, what do I need in the next week? Do I need action-related answers, or do I need outcome-related answers? And of course, you can always choose both. While you're choosing, let's go over the timing for this reading. This reading is for December 15th through December 23rd. Now, the flavor of this reading is very interesting. I have the North Node, which is about where we're going in the future, coupled with Aquarius, which is also the visionary, future-based thinker of the zodiac. In the 8th house of transformation, the sex, death, taxes, mystery house. And this one's ruled by Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto. So it's very much tied to what we were talking about earlier. So let's go over this together. Ready? For those choosing action, your spiritual action is to have faith in your vision as a life or death issue. So while we're going through this period of internalized study, remember what it's for. Remember that a new version of you is always coming forward. We are ever expanding beings. You're not the same person you were last year. You are definitely not the same person you were in 2018. and so on and so forth, right? So we're constantly expanding. All the work that you do, especially trying to understand and heal your past, is for future you. So taking this work seriously, knowing that the work you do today completely impacts you tomorrow. Mental action at this time. Do not worry about what's new and different about getting and using power. I like it. Don't worry about what's new and different about getting and using power. Power, this is something else that I'm going to talk with you in more detail about, especially in 2022. Power is so misunderstood. I have trouble grokking it myself too. And it's something I'm consciously working with all the time, because power is a different kind of energy than we're used to. What we experience in the external world, especially right now, is not power. That is not power. That is control. And we get those two confused a lot. And, some of it's programming, some of it's, just what we learned and that's what we thought. We're going to have to untangle the difference between the two. And I really do feel like learning more about yourself and what you need is going to help you understand what real power is. So this is a journey, and because Pluto is involved and it is the power planet, we're going to start to get it. We're going to get it on, and it is going to feel new and different. We're going to be like, well, that's not what I thought it was. I thought it was controlling something. I thought it was being in charge and telling people what to do and having something over someone. That's all control. So we're going to get an education in what power really is. And I'm excited about it because it's going to change completely our relationship to power. Instead of being resistant to it or afraid of it, we're going to start to see what that really is and really start to embody it more. Physical action at this time. Now is the time to use an unconventional way and use other people's resources. Well, this card makes it sound sort of the opposite of what we were talking about, which is becoming inner resourceful. However, I feel like the use other people's resources in the context of this week's reading is really about, there's so much being offered to the world right now about inner child healing and shadow work, about learning how to take the journey within, how to meet your needs so that you can meet the needs of others. Remember, it's put your oxygen mask on first so you can help others put theirs on too. So those are the other resources you can use. So if you find yourself like, I'm really stumped, I went in, I asked some questions, now I feel lost, look for resources. There are so many at helping you understand what's playing out inside of you and how to approach it so that you are learning to integrate rather than trying to destroy a part of yourself, which it can't be done. Let's look at outcomes for the North Node in Aquarius in the 8th house. The spiritual outcome at this time. There will be genius to experiment with personal power. I love it. As you do the work, it's like, again, reward. Remember, it's not just going in, feeling pain, and trying to close the story on that. It is mining for the gold. The more you go in, the more gold you find, the more empowered you feel. And it just gets better from there. Mental outcome at this time. Success from the discoveries of the mysteries of life. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. But this is a promising period. So yes, there's work to do. Yes, it can feel heavy. Yes, it can be emotionally draining sometimes. But there is gold in them there hills. You know what I'm saying? This is good. It is the divine alignment. So universe isn't just leading you into a dark place and saying, figure it out. It's saying, no, go in there. It's so accessible at this time. Like there is planetary support at this time. You've got one of the most benefic planets going with you, Venus, right? She's surrounding you in love. She is giving you that support, and she is the planet of wealth and abundance. There's gonna be gold when you go in. Physical outcome at this time, benefit resulting from the eccentricity of a major change. All right, so there's a shift here. The eccentricity might just be how odd it feels to do the work, how odd it feels to finally start giving to yourself what you're constantly seeking. It's going to feel weird to stop seeking and just go within, right? Instead of trying to constantly like figure out what's the next thing that's going to satisfy me, you go, nope, I've got my own stores of satisfaction within. Let me go in there and see what I need. What can I give myself at this time? And that means more asking, what do I want? And that might feel really weird to people who don't do it. The more you do it, the less weird it feels. That is a major change, right? It's going from an externalized getting into an internalized receiving. So, whenever Aquarius is involved, it's promising something weird. It's promising something amazing as well. But there is a weirdness to it. Because Aquarius is about living on the cutting edge of life and thinking, right? So it's not in the comfort zone. It's well outside the comfort zone. And when we go where Aquarius guides us, we're leaving a certain safety or a certain pattern, and we're going into sort of the wild west of behavior, or the wild west of self-relating. And that can create this feeling of like, this is so, like, I'm at the grocery store and I'm like, what do I need to eat for dinner right now? And years ago, I would have been like, weirdo alert. But now I'm just like, I don't even notice, right, that there's others. I'm just like tuning into the body. I'm asking what it needs, and I'm going to fulfill those needs. You get over it. You get over the weirdness, and you adapt to it. It starts to become who you are. And because it is so satisfying to actually relate to yourself, you crave it. And therefore it stops being an eccentric thing, and it just starts becoming you. It's part of how you operate. All right, those are beautiful cards. It's an interesting energy, to say the least. And have compassion for those around you at this time, knowing that everybody's being forced into this. I mean, forced is such a hard word. You have choice, but remember, it's either you walk down the stairs willingly or you get drugged down the stairs, because that's the energy at this time. For those of us that we find that are not aware of it, or you're watching being drugged in, just hold that place of compassion, knowing that this work is ultimately the best thing that their soul can go through. It's our own resistance to doing it that can create the pain and the struggle that we see. And when you see someone going through that, you can't do it for them, but you can send them that little vibration of love. May this be easier. May you find peace. And just hold that space that this is actually, there's gold, right? So it is more rewarding than painful. And with that, I send you lots of love. Mwah. Thank you for watching. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell so that you know the next time I release a new video. Until then, stay magical.